Big headlines in the newspaper. Romania has declared war on Austria-Hungary. Then Italy declared war on Germany, and Germany declared war on Romania. Nice of the Italians to join us. Meanwhile, we're off to strafe the Somme trenches. Not sure how this kind of mission is supposed to go, but I'm about to get some on-the-job training. Flying low on the horizon, I got my first good look at the putrid trenches from above. Seeing the hordes under siege in their mud prison, I gave thanks for having made it into the Air Corps. Got my first letter from home today. The post certainly takes its time. Mother says she hopes I'll be home for Christmas. While that's still a long way off, I have serious doubts. Maybe Christmas 1917. Our nosy neighbours across the line are now keeping a steady stream of balloons looking over the Somme from St. Quentin. We're going to make sure they come down ahead of schedule. The misty banks of the Somme came into view with a duo of plump eavesdroppers. Also in view were two ravenous Eindeckers below them. I wasn't in any mood to help their pilots earn the blue max. Wing HQ advises us to prepare for a long stay in Amiens. The trenches are being fortified and it's starting to look like another Verdun. Trench warfare is a damn stupid way to fight a war, if you ask me. I'm patrolling the Somme today with one of the other chaps. Bosch patrols have increased in response to our river raids. There are no more easy days. The river was unusually quiet, but above the momentary still, we were in for a clash. We faced the fairest of all possible fights, a 2-on-2 encounter with a pair of E3s. Been thinking a lot about my family. Hoped I was over my loneliness, but I suppose it never goes away. But if I can still feel homesick, then at least it means I can feel something. Farah says to stop whinging and start thinking about protection. His informant reports a 1430 strike at Arras, and 2 of us are being dispatched as a welcome wagon. Fritz's flyers at Arras were up on us by 1. What they didn't have was the fear of failure drummed into their hearts by a loudmouth named Farah. No matter what we do, it doesn't please that fool Farah. We risk our lives, we follow orders, we help the mechanics service our planes, and we shoot down Germans. All we want is our post on time. All he can say is, "Leave me alone, ladies." Pillock. I'm off with 2 of the others for some balloon busting at All Noir. No doubt I'll be keeping an eye out for our old friend Archie. Few things in the wild make balloon hunters happier than what we found at All Noir. 2 of the fat devils with no fighter cover. They were ours alone for the stalking. I understand we're now using these monstrous vehicles called tanks. Not very reliable, I hear, and certainly not enough of a weapon to bring victory on the Somme. I wouldn't want to be in one. They look like death traps. They can't be doing too well, or HQ would be sending them to overrun the Cambrai aerodrome instead of sending us to bomb it. With His Majesty's armoured buggies bogged down in their tracks, we closed in on Cambrai with AA fire erupting all around. We'd have to be a lot more impressive than these tanks or we'd face a similar fate. Some of the men presented Farah with a petition complaining about the delays with the post. Farah says he's not interested in petitions, he's got much bigger problems to deal with. The enemy's position on the Somme is being reinforced with anti-aircraft batteries. Farah wants us to strafe the work crews and have them running for the hills by dusk. If we raise any Archie, that'll be the icing on the cake. Paralleling the combat zone, I wasn't sure which was going to be more fun. Seeing the new AA guns incinerated or watching work crews tumble like circus clowns. We have a new member in the camp, a chaplain. Holy Joe, we call him. Some of us have been wondering what a chaplain is doing at an aerodrome, but the first thing he did was straighten out our post situation with just one wire to HQ. Any man of the cloth who can work miracles like that has my backing. Stoic as always, Farah is letting the whole thing blow over and sending 4 of us to escort a bomber to Hirson. As we crossed into enemy territory, 2 E3s and a D2 tirelessly attacked us west of Hirson. For the moment, Prussian discipline in the sky was alive and well, and closing in on us fast. Holy Joe cleaned us out last night in a marathon poker game. Never thought I'd be gambling with a clergyman, but the whole thing was his idea. Not only did he organise our debauchery, I think he has a direct line to you-know-who. One game and I already owe him 2 guineas. Hope I live to get a rematch. 4 of us have the noon patrol, and Farah wants us to do at least as well as the morning boys. They brought down 2 Fockers. With Holy Joe's prayers, I'm going for 2 of my own. Then it's back to the card table from... Not sure which is the bigger gamble, playing poker with Holy Joe or playing the odds against Fritz. With 3 Eindeckers baiting us below, we called their bluff and cut the deck for a life and death hand. Farah broke up our midnight poker game last night. Thought he was going to join us, but instead we got a bunch of hoo-ha about irresponsibility. What a laugh we all had listening to Farah and Holy Joe debate the morality of gambling. They were at it until dawn. Going up on mid-morning patrol with 2 of the boys. The front is hot and we need to keep it from getting hotter. Outnumbered 4-3, we faced a pair of biplanes flanked by a couple of monos. We were ready for their attack, though I had a feeling we were about to witness a new level of Hun determination. Fritz has his balloons up at all noir, and Farah wants them down. Meanwhile, some clown calling himself Tex Johnson has shown up here to demonstrate the latest barrel rolling techniques. He's supposed to be a hotshot flight trainer from HQ, but on his first takeoff he stalled out and crippled our only Spad by slamming it into the mess. What an example. Maybe he's good at outdoor cooking. Faced with a puzzling 3-on-3, I knew from my studies that an even challenge could be tricky. It seemed like an awful lot of effort just to get a shot at one lousy balloon. Got into a ruck in what's left of the mess this morning with Tex Johnson. It began when I shouted, "Oi, Tex! How about demonstrating a loop-the-loop into Farah's quarters?" He took the first swing. I ducked and landed a roundhouse to his jaw. I have a feeling Farah thinks I started the brawl, since he's sending me on a strafing run to the Somme trenches. Not sure if it's a reward or a punishment. The Somme trenches lay before me like rows of open graves dividing the countryside. Even in the air I was struck by the foul odour of the unburied dead. My guns would soon bring more flesh to rot. Today is Friday the 13th, and we're already having rotten luck. This morning, Tex Johnson spun out on our main landing strip and pancaked one of our refurbished Newports into a barn. Everyone laughed as the chickens climbed out, clucking all over the plane's crushed wings. Tex was humiliated, and for a moment I actually felt bad for him. 4-man patrol over Lille at 0400. Don't want anyone laughing at me, so I have to keep holding my own. Being humiliated like Tex is the worst thing for a pilot. After dying, of course. After an hour of patrolling, we'd yet to sight the enemy, even though Belka had been keeping regular coverage over Immelmann's old stomping grounds. I worried they'd find us before we found them. Somebody has got to do something about this madman Belka. Yesterday he got his 35th kill. The pilots he's training are flying better than any we've seen, especially the new kid he's picked as Immelmann's successor. Richthofen, I think his name is. Upstart. Tex was supposed to lead today's balloon-busting sortie, but the rest of us want to stay alive, so we're sneaking off to Hirsen alone. Gaining on a lone balloon, we couldn't believe that the Germans would send up an observer without cover. Was it a ruse? Or had the cunning Belka simply fallen asleep in his scheming? Tex Johnson has left for his next teaching assignment. Holy Joe bade him his official farewell as Farah grumbled, "If the imbecile isn't going to destroy the Bosch, let him destroy some other CO's drone." As we laughed, Farah turned our attention to this evening's bridge bombing at San Quentin. Our laughing stopped abruptly when he ordered us to be loaded up in an hour. As I reached San Quentin, I thought how funny it would have been to watch Tex in real action. Would he have bounced his tail skid on one of the bridge towers, or would he have swan dived into the drink? I figured out what I hate most about northern France. Short summers. Seems like spring just melted away the ice, but this morning I felt a familiar chill in the shower. Hot water is back in short supply, so I'm sure I'm not the only one who felt the cold. We were all grumbling as we checked out our planes. None of us were too happy about this dreary patrol to Cambrai. With moisture freezing on my upper lip, I looked to the three flying at my side to make sure they saw what I saw. Down below us, an Albatros D2 and a Fokker E3 were rearing for a scrap. We've been hearing a lot more about this Richthofen fellow. Belka must have trained him well, as he's been on a Brit-killing frenzy all month. Farah is offering a week of leave in exchange for Richthofen's flight gear. I think we're all overreacting. He's just some lucky flyer on a hot streak. Probably won't see him today as I'm off to bomb a train at All Noir, but I would like a shot at that leave time. As I dove on Ormois, I saw a sign on the side of the train that read, "Herr Trenchard, please give your pilots a rest." Too bad I wasn't feeling particularly tired. Can't help but feel grief for the recent German loss. 2 days ago, Oswald Belker collided in mid-air with one of his own pilots. A group of us flew over Belker's base last night and respectfully dropped a wreath. It seems almost wrong that we have to bomb a command post on the Somme today. The Germans are mourning the loss of their second great air hero, but the war stops for nothing. Saluting one of our own fallen, I flew quietly alone over a host of memorial services before heading back to the front. There I targeted the designated command post and held my silence as long as I could. The dark months of autumn grow darker. Though the RFC won't release any figures about the losses on the Somme, I noticed a stray document on Farah's desk that says we've lost 800 machines to the Germans' 359, with 252 of our pilots in the ground for Germany's 43. Our three-man patrol today at Cambrai will again bring us to face Belker's legacy, the cubs of his Jagster film. My Vickers longed for a target as we hovered over the stillness of Cambrai. It didn't take long before the roar of our engines attracted two D2s with their Spandaus blasting a cold-hearted Willkommen. Now we're bewildered. Though General Trenchard calls the Somme our greatest air success of the war, our airstrikes are being cut back by wing headquarters. In the meantime, this Manfred von Richthofen already has 10 kills. Apparently he's some kind of baron. Well then, Baron, we're patrolling your province at Douai today. Come and get us. The three of us caught a pair of Fokkers off guard and began to close on their tails. Though we had the advantage, we'd surprised them fair and square, so Farah couldn't say anything about our lack of chivalry. Now I know what's bothering Farah. He's angry because he hasn't been awarded the Victoria Cross. If one of us had taken out Immelman or Belka, he'd have made it. Now he needs a new target. I wonder if Richthofen counts. 4-plane escort taking a reconnaissance flight to the Somme this morning. My bet is that the photographs are going to be costly. Whatever our recon plane was after, I hoped it was worth the fight ahead. 2 Eindeckers and a Doppeldecker came out of the late afternoon haze with apparent orders to stop all 5 of us. No surprise to learn that Woodrow Wilson has been re-elected President of the US. What a strange campaign he ran with that slogan. He kept us out of war. We need America here. Farah is keeping constant patrols over Douai. I think he's trying to draw out Richthofen, but that may be my imagination. All four of us on the noon patrol want to see what this Baron looks like. Bulker's successors had learned to be aggressive, often without their teachers' good judgment. We itched to send our two attackers home feeling far less anxious for their next sortie, if they lived to see it. Now that the Huns have evacuated Fort Vaux, Verdun is quieting and more pilots are free to join us. Too bad we're getting our reinforcements so late. Generals Joffre and Haig are under pressure to start delivering victories, and their foray on the Somme is about to cease. Whatever they're planning, I'll bet it involves reconnaissance from the balloons we'll be protecting here at Amiens. We felt a special dedication keeping watch over our balloon, like anxious parents guarding our back garden from the local thugs. While we saw no bullying aircraft, we were sure they'd come. Hostilities along the Somme ended 2 days ago. We're now left wondering who will strike next. The whole notion of honor is becoming harder to understand as tensions around here increase. Confusion abounds. Today's patrol to Douai will be no different. There was more confusion in the skies. Below the 4 of us were 3 enemy planes sending us a clear message: keep out of Douai. I wondered who was calling the shots in Belka's stead.